into the modern, particularly debates, particularly in modern, philosophy of science, philosophy of social science, philosophy of natural science, that type of debate. Again, I'm not saying that you all should go, but I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that it is very, very important for us to be knowledgeable on those developments. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand the nuances. Now, for example, if you were to read Richard Gomrich's this very short review of K.R. Norm's philological approach, I think without that type of background, it will be even difficult to understand. In other words, what I'm trying to build up is amidst all our textual, interpretational, conceptual studies, we also need to go into the broader methodological discussions and the knowledge, because not only we are using a particular method, but we should be able to justify that particular method we are using. So which is a very important thing. Now, you could say that, why should we, spend time or waste time, as you see, on the methodology? No, in fact, methodology, talking about method, justifying your method is also very, very important. And then, so in other words, what I'm trying to tell you is, we can't be today only pure 100% Buddhist scholar, only confining ourselves to the Buddhist text and the field of Buddhist text. Even to make more meaningful the Buddhist textual tradition and the philosophy, we need to be aware of the methodological debates and what is going on, how people look at. Now, these are again very, very important things. So these are some of the possible areas. Now, having spoken to you almost now 1 hour, my message for you is particularly, I know that large majority of the participants are Burmese Buddhist monks, monastic scholars, in addition to other Buddhist nuns and other lay scholars from other countries. I think sometimes I see that there is a frustration among the graduate student, thinking that they cannot find anything meaningful to do. Everything has been done by others. Of course, it is very natural. Anyone who enters the field at first, will get this kind of, frustrating feeling. But more you know about the field, more you associate with people, more you read things, this gradually disappears. And then you see that there is a wide world, academic world is open before you. So in other words, there is no end to textual studies. There is no end to conceptual studies. Even though, for example, Rupert Getting has studied Bodhipakya Dhamma, that doesn't mean that Rupert has said the last word on that. You can go into again, you can review Rupert, and then if you can come up with a new idea. So there is no end to any of these types of things. And sociological, anthropological, historical studies, I don't have time to go into, but very elementary suggestion I want to make is sometime the students come with proposals, saying that how this is in Burmese society, how Sila is practiced in Burmese society, and things like that. The moment you bring in the social aspect, of course you can go to Visuddhimagga and you can study how Sila is being understood. But if you want to look at how Burmese people do that, it can be Sila, it can be merit making, or it can be anything, but then that requires for you to go into Burmese society, talk to people, observe people, try to collect material and so on. One of the very early the study on Burmese religious tradition, Michael Spiro's, the celebrated book on Burmese society, but that was in 1960s. He did this research in early 60s and 50s. However, now we are talking about 75 years after. So there should be so much to do if you think about sociological, anthropological, ethnographical studies. And again, you need to be aware of the methodological, the constraints and also methodological principles governing these areas of study. Now, my last point would be, if you look at in the Buddhist studies, Theravada, Vajrayana, Chinese, and so on, it is with sadness I notice that sometimes Theravada studies are not represented, particularly Theravada Buddhist scholars from traditional countries. One time I remember several years ago, Professor Richard Gombrich told me that I used to go to this International Association of Buddhist Studies conference, but lately I could not go. And then Professor Richard Gombrich told me about couple of years ago that there was the International Association of Buddhist Studies conference, and there had been some 600 of panels of different aspects of Buddhist studies, and he said that there was no one single one on Theravada study. Now, this is not a good thing. So therefore, I think for the students, particularly the research student like you and the scholars gathered in this forum, I think there is a lot of space for us to take Buddhist studies, particularly Theravada studies, to the other, juxtapose it with the other Buddhist studies, and also take it into the world. Now, finally, why do we have to take the Buddhist studies into the world? Because the Buddha taught this Dhamma out of compassion for the welfare of and the good of the society. I think that goal is the universal goal to be cherished by all those people, by us who try to follow the teaching of the Buddha. So there is much hope and reason for Buddhist studies to be continued. Okay, so I think I will wind up from that, opening this session for any questions you have. Thank you very much again for listening to me.
Professor, thank